All right, you're here now because you'd like help with the problem of 3.5x minus 1 equals -8. So let's go ahead and get started working on this one together. The first thing that we need to think about when we're solving an equation is what is our objective? And our objective, always when we're solving equations, is to isolate x, which means we're going to get x by itself. All of the numbers need to go on the right side, which means that this 1 is in the wrong place and this 3.5 is in the wrong place. But the big question is, which one of these are we going to get rid of first? Which one is going to go away first? And we have a process for that. So we have step 1 and step 2. Step 1 says to make the constant equal 0. So in order to make our constant equal 0, we need to use our inverse operation. So if I take one thing away from something by subtracting 1, how do I get back to what we had before? The opposite of subtracting 1 is to add 1, which means I'm going to take this 3.5x. We have subtracted 1, and we're going to then undo that by adding 1. So we have 3.5x minus 1 plus 1 equals -8, and then we need to add 1 to that, because if we add 1 to the left side, we have to add it to the right side. Otherwise, the two sides aren't equal anymore. If you add 1 to one thing, you have to add it to the other. So we have -1 plus 1. -1 plus 1 is equal to 0, so those two cancel out, which leaves us with just the 3.5x. And then on the right side of our equation, we have -8 plus 1. -8 plus 1. Let me draw that number line, because sometimes those negatives just confuse me. I'm going to start here, -8. And then if I'm going to add a positive 1, that means I'm going to go towards the positive numbers. Zero's over here somewhere, but I'm not going to go quite that far because I'm just going 1, which means I'm going to go to -7. So I have 3.5x equals -7. We have completed step 1. We have made the constant, which was -1, equals 0. Since anything plus 0 is itself, that constant is gone. So we have done that now. So then our next step, step 2. In step 2, we need to make the coefficient equal 1 using inverse operations. Make the coefficient equal 1 using inverse operations. So right now we have 3.5x. The operation that we have is 3.5 times x. The inverse of that is division, which means we're going to take 3.5 and we're going to divide that by 3.5. Because if we take any number, divide it by itself, it's going to equal 1. So 3.5 divided by 3.5 equals 1. 1 times x just equals x. Since we divided the left side by 3.5, we're going to divide the right side by 3.5. -7 divided by 3.5 is going to give me a negative number. Remember, we got that magic multiplication triangle. We have a negative number. We have a positive 3.5, which means that our answer is then negative. So 7 divided by 3.5 is 2, which means x equals -2. So let's go ahead and punch that back in. Substitute that -2 in for x to the original equation. Check our work and see how we did. Now you should be prepared to tackle problem number 4.